devastating floods, announced that it is withdrawing its application for a summer 2026 camp license. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Celeste Díaz Schurman.
And I'm Ernie Manouse. We'll also talk with Gus Fauché, chief economist for PNC, who will break down a new report with insight on where Houston's economy stands today and what to expect in the months ahead.
Plus, we'll also learn all about the Women's Resource of Greater Houston and their work empowering women to become financially stable.
And as always, we want to hear from you. So give us a call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And remember, you can watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump is weighing whether to pull U.S. troops out of Europe. He is vexed that European nations are not sending their troops to join the U.S. in blockading the Strait of Hormuz in the war against Iran. This coming as the Iran war boosts energy prices in the U.S. But for President Trump, the stakes in Iran are not just strategic, they're also political. NPR's Frank Ordonez reports Trump insists the war is almost over.
The war is eating up a lot of the president's time, but the White House says Trump can walk and chew gum at the same time. A White House official not authorized to speak publicly tells NPR that while the U.S. military and the president's diplomatic team work toward a deal with Iran and resolving temporary disruptions in energy markets, the rest of the administration continues to focus on Trump's affordability agenda. Trump signed an executive order yesterday on retirement savings and has worked to lower prices on prescription drugs. But at the same time, gas prices hit a new high since the start of the war. And Americans say they're not seeing much relief. According to a new Reuters Ipsos poll, just 27% approve of how the president is handling the U.S. economy. Franco Ordonez, NPR News.
NPR's Scott Horsley has more on where U.S. gas prices stand today.
Gasoline prices have jumped by 33 cents a gallon in just the last week, including a 9-cent jump overnight. AAA says the average price of regular gas nationwide is now $4.39 a gallon. There's little relief in sight as the war with Iran that's rattling energy markets is now in its third month.
NPR's Scott Horsley reporting. The U.S. national debt surpassed 100% of gross domestic product at the end of March. The Bureau of Economic Analysis finds debt held by the public reached $31.27 trillion. GDP was estimated at $31.22 trillion for the 12-month period ending in March. Nebraska has become the first state under new federal rules to require Medicaid beneficiaries to prove they are working in order to keep their coverage. NPR's Selena Simmons-Duffin reports work requirements have long been favored by conservatives.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed by Republicans in Congress last summer created a federal work requirement for Medicaid. Adults up to age 64 will have to regularly prove that they are working or that they qualify for an exemption. The deadline for the policy to be implemented is next January, but Nebraska is getting started early. The state says it's not adding staff or funding to implement the requirement, which will apply to roughly 70,000 Nebraskans. Health advocates call the rules paperwork requirements, since most people on Medicaid who can work already do. Selena Simmons-Duffin, NPR News.
It's NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. This just in, a ground stop was issued at Bush Airport due to thunderstorms lasting until 2 o'clock this afternoon. The FAA reports surrounding counties are also affected, as well as possible strong storms later today. The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down a key enforcement provision of the Voting Rights Act, making it much harder to prove racial discrimination in redistricting. Sarah Chen is Senior Supervising Attorney for the Voting Rights Act at the Texas Civil Rights Project.
I do know for a fact that the FBI pursues every lead, no matter how far-fetched or how much of a long shot it might seem. So I would imagine that there is a lot of information that the Tice family has access to that gives them hope that Austin is live.
And we'll get the right audio posted in just a few moments. The 6-3 High Court decision applies not only to redistricting of congressional maps, but also state legislative districts, county commissioner courts, and city councils. Newly appointed Harris County Attorney Abby Kamen says she's interested in creating a centralized web portal where residents can report complaints about ICE. Kamen led a conversation about immigrant enforcement in North Houston Tuesday.
One of the misconceptions is that what's happening here is not as bad as Minneapolis. 650 square miles just in the city of Houston, that's not including Harris County. There are raids happening. ICE is here, but it's so spread out, you're not seeing it.
Her comments come weeks after Commissioner Rodney Ellis asked the county attorney's office to propose best practices for law enforcement agencies to interact with ICE. In sports, the Astros open up in Boston tonight. First pitch is at 6:35. The Rockets are back home tonight against the Lakers. Tip-off at 8:35. Checking your weather, we're under a flood watch through 4 a.m. Saturday. Another round of storms is pushing into the region, causing those delays at Bush Airport. We'll see showers into tonight, a high of 68, a low of 55. Right now, light rain, 64 degrees on the UH campus. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance with Snapshot, a personalized program that bases rates on safe driving habits, at Progressive.com. Not available in California or from all agents. This is NPR.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie Manouse and Celeste Díaz Schurman.
Well, hello, Celeste.
Hello.
Hello, this is it.
This is it.
In my break a few minutes ago, I said, I think reigning monarchs have left with less fanfare than Celeste is getting on her last day. But that's just because it expresses how much we love you and are going to miss you.
Well, I love you all very, very much. And I truly believe this is not in any way, shape, or form a goodbye. It's just a new chapter. And so many people every day are walking into new chapters, closing old ones, looking at opportunity. And so, I get to just share this with everyone. And I hold on to the fact that every day people, in many ways, close chapters and open new ones.
So you scared?
Yeah, of course, right? Anytime you have a big transition in life or a major change, it's scary. And we sit every single day with our listeners and viewers, and we share a lot of our life. And so it is scary whenever a lot of people know what's going on in your life. Yeah. And so they're like, well, what's next? But yeah.
Well, I remember, we may have mentioned this before, I remember when it was time to go to college. After high school. And all of my friends were like so sad and like, oh, we were all going to go to. Mm-hmm. And my mindset was, well, this is what's next. And I was very matter of fact about it. And everyone's like, you're so cold. I'm like, no, I always knew I was going to go to college. I'm going to Chicago, so I'm leaving New York. Yeah. That's just the next step. So I didn't have any of that kind of, and I get that feeling from you that you're like, you're in a good place with this move. It's the next step. We're going to do that. We'll do it to our fullest. And then maybe we'll see you back in our haunted halls again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, though, what's so interesting about this specific move is that before it's always been like I've been in a lot of, or I don't want to say a lot of jobs, but I've had roles and jobs. And this, for me, my time, I've been at Houston Public Media coming up in May, it had been 4 years. And this really has been a career for me. This really has been where I have grown. I went from a reporter then to a producer, and I was very fortunate to work within an organization where my supervisors truly listened whenever I would say, I want more. I think I can do more. And there were many times where I would be in, Jack's office or whoever might have been, Laurie's office, saying, what else can I do? And so it was, I have been very fortunate, and I am just so over the moon with my experience here at Houston Public Media. And
let me tell you, if you wouldn't listen, she'd make sure you listen. She definitely got your attention. You know what has gotten our attention around here a lot has often been the weather. And recently we lost someone on our team also who decided that they were going to move on. But when two monumental things collide, which is terrible weather and Celeste leaving, there's only one person we could think of to turn to on the line right now. We have our good friend and former colleague, Frank Billingsley, on the line. Hey, Frank.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, the weather is crying, Celeste. The rain is coming down just for you. It's so sad that you're leaving. It's true. It's true. You are excited, though, I can tell.
I am excited, Frank, but I love hearing your voice, and I feel like the gang's back together right now in this moment.
So since the gang's back together, before we get into everything else about why we wanted you to call today, it's how's the weather out there?
Yeah,
What's going to happen? It looks bleak.
It is certainly wet. It's going to continue to rain pretty much all day as these systems move through. There's, especially to the north of us, there are some flood issues, and we are under at least a flash flood watch for the rest of the day. So that's until really late tonight, because this is going to pile up. So we're going to have to watch for these rounds of rain to come through. My advice is, if you don't have to get out of this mess, then don't get out of this mess. So it'll come through, it'll lighten up, it'll come through, it'll lighten up. Right now, it's a pretty good swath of rain is pushing through. But until this front really makes its way through, and that's going to take the better part of 6 o'clock tonight, then it'll start tapering off. Then I would stay put. And then tomorrow's beautiful, and so is Sunday.
Oh, great.
Cool and sunny. Yeah, so we'll have a couple of great days, like probably one of our last hurrahs for a cool, crisp weekend.
For you and me, Celeste will have much nicer weather in California than we get.
Well, yeah, that'll continue for a while. Good for you. Good for you. If you're going to move, you might as well move somewhere where the weather is nice.
That's what I told Dan. I said, well, if you're going to move me, you better move me somewhere good.
Where the weather's better than what you get here. One of our folks, my British computer guy, writes in our chat, drizzleable.
Drizzleable. I own that word.
I know.
I own that word.
Yeah.
So yes, it is.
So, Frank, what are you doing in your newest retirement?
Well, I just woke up. I did wake up late. It was like 9:15. So I'm doing that. We've got, as many of our YouTubers would say, I bet he's going to dinner parties, and they would be right. Doing a lot of dinners are fun. Playing a little pickleball.
Good.
Catching up on the old Netflix. And traveling some. We just got back from Puerto Vallarta, and we're going to be headed to Sedona for the whole spiritual thing, and then we're going to be in New York and Chicago, and we have a big cruise in August. So, between life, we're traveling.
What I'm taking from this is that you really don't miss being here every day, huh? You found a way to fill your days.
Yeah, I keep up with you when I'm driving, just like everybody else. I'm like, oh, there they are. I miss them. So, and hopefully, I'll find time to come back and say hello, too, for sure.
I hope so. What great advice do you have for Celeste leaving a fabulous show like Hello, Houston?
You know what? Take everything you've learned with you and make it better, and so you'll be ready to come back even stronger. Mm-hmm. And I think you will if you choose to come back. And it's every day at a time. From somebody who's older, and I'm not necessarily wiser, but I've experienced. I can tell you. You definitely want to take every day and enjoy it, and every opportunity, and every hug, and every moment. So just go with the flow. Barbara Bush on her deathbed said, people regretted working too much, and they never regretted spending too much time with family. They always regretted too much work.
That's right.
So get that good. Your generation tends to have that whole life balance figured out.
Yeah. We try.
Mine
at
and
least.
Ernie's did it.
No.
Y'all do a pretty good job.
I hear you talking about spending more time with family, and I was like, yeah, but my family is moving away. It's Celeste and her kids.
That's right. That's right. How do you feel, Ernie? How you're the palm tree after the hurricane. All the palm trees have deep roots. They always stand.
That's right.
Yeah.
I am having trouble processing all the change that has recently happened. I came into this program with two dear friends sitting beside me, and one by one they have left me. But I know we've got new exciting adventures ahead for the show. And what I've always said, what I've loved about my work here at Houston Public Media is as soon as you start to get comfortable, there's a new fresh project out there that I get to work on. And even though we're staying with Hello Houston, the landscape around me is going to shift, and we get to try something new and exciting again. So I'm looking hopeful, but as much as I miss having you here, Frank, I'm also going to miss having Celeste here with me. But I'm a big boy, and I'm going to get through this.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
Gonna try.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? Anytime Frank co-host comes in as a guest host, I want to come too.
Okay, it sounds like a plan. Frank, thank you so much for taking the time to give a little love to Celeste, as we all will be doing today. And also, thank you for the weather update.
Well, you're more than welcome. And Celeste, best to you. Let's get together soon before you head out of town. And, shake a martini.
Absolutely. Love you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. We have another call on the line from David and Brandon from Sharpstown. Hello.
Well, hello. How are y'all today?
We're good. What's on your mind?
Well, we just wanted to call in and tell Celeste we're going to miss her. Brandon, you want to say something real quick? We're going to miss you, Celeste. We have a nonprofit work with blind vision impaired individuals. People may not know Celeste in 2025 decided to come join us, and she guided Kyle Bora from Missouri in a half marathon. He had such a great time. He came back this year and did the full marathon. But ultimately, Celeste has a voice, and I'm not talking about the voice you hear. She has a voice that comes through, that where her heart comes through. And I know dead time is really bad on the radio, so I'm forcing that through. So anyway, we really are going to miss her, while we're really excited for her and her family. So there you go.
David, thank you so much. Celeste, anything you want to say between the
Thank
tears?
you. David and Brandon, thank you so much. Yes, EyeCan Alliance is an incredible organization. The Adami family and Brandon are wonderful, and they spearheaded this project, and they allow people that would love to run and go and do 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, triathlons, that can't do it without support, and they are that bridge within that support. So running with EyeCan Alliance, I've said this, was one of my running career highlights that I will forever hold on to. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
So,
guys, thank you very much for calling in and sharing with us and sharing with our Celeste. We love her, and I can tell you guys do too.
Yes, but you know what, Ernie? We also have a great show coming up.
We do. Before we get to that, though,
Yes.
I do want to make a comment on what we were just talking about.
Yes.
And it's something people probably don't know. And we tease you all the time about different things here. You're like my little sister. And little, because you're only like 3 feet tall. You're very small. But one of the things I remember you saying was once it was announced who the anchor team was going to be on this show, and the platform you were going to have was that you wanted to use it to work in the community. You wanted to take that recognition that comes with sitting in a show like this to be able to do work out there.
Yes.
And this is a case in point what they're talking about. Even though you were involved with that before you came to this position, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to see what groups can I get involved? How can I help? How can I bring attention? A lot of your pitches have been about things in the community to help, and brought guests on to be able to highlight their organization. So for folks who get lost in the idea that we sit here and we read scripts, Celeste definitely wants to get her feet wet and her hands dirty, working not just in gardens, but all across the city.
Yeah, the truth is that as much as I absolutely love getting to get this experience, it's never really been about me. It really has always been about the stories and the people in Houston. Houston is a huge city, but truly we are a community. And we see those communities, and the news can be tough, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's funny and light, but the reality of it is that when you have a hard day, look around and there are so many people doing wonderful, incredible things and they don't have to. For example, people wake up every single morning, runners, and go volunteer to run with a blind person so that they can allow that person to get an experience that they wouldn't otherwise get. People do that every single day, all day within our city. And so I'm very proud of Houston and the community and the people that are here. And like I said, it's really, truly never been about me. And as I move forward, it still won't be about me. It'll be about the stories and the people that sit across from me and share them.
Well, you talk about community and you talk about communities that have an impact. And we had a community that grieved greatly in our area. And your heart went into this story a bit, and it's in our headlines today. So take us into headlines.
That's right. Camp Mystic, a private Christians girl summer camp in the Texas Hill Country where 28 people died in last July's flooding, will not reopen next summer. In a statement Thursday, camp leaders said they are withdrawing their application for a 2026 camp license, citing that ongoing grief and investigations. The camp said, quote, no summer season should move forward while families continue to grieve and Texans still carry the pain of last July's tragedy. The move comes after state officials warned the camp its license may not be renewed without major changes to its emergency plan. Investigations into the flooding are still underway. Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston. Was this the right move? What are your thoughts? Give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870.
I'm sure you know where I'm going to come down on this. I don't think there was any other option. I think initially you probably think as an organization, best thing to do is move forward, continue, do what you need to do to reestablish yourself.
Yeah.
And then reality hits in. And I think the hearings that we saw were very, very hard, not just for families, but also for the Camp Mystic folks in realizing how the whole thing looked and felt, and to really listen to your hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure that I'll ever know exactly what went into their decision, but I think it's the right decision at this point.
Absolutely. And I think that there were three things, really major factors at play that we saw. I mean, there was a lot of regulatory pressure coming from the state that basically warned Camp Mystic, hey, listen, you might not get a license to open up. There is a full investigation that is still ongoing and what happened there within the campsite itself. And then lastly, and I would say most importantly, what you're touching on, there were 28 young girls who died there on camp. And for the families that perhaps did not lose a child but had a daughter there, this is still very traumatic. And I think that this was not thought through by the camp. I also know that Camp Mystic families are very loyal. This has really divided a community.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the right thing to do. I do think that the camp is also trying to repair their reputation, and they are trying to reassess. And this, to me, the opening, even the possibility of the opening of the camp felt a little bit premature. So I definitely think that this was the right direction to go into.
I'll let you know we are doing a poll over on our YouTube channel. So if you go to HoustonPublicMedia.org, you can see the link to get over to YouTube. Or if you're in YouTube, just look for Hello Houston. There's a poll up right now about did Camp Mystic make the right decision? We're curious what you think on that. Also, you can give us a call and tell us what your thoughts are. 713-440-8870. Do you think the camp can reopen? What do you think is the legacy? Because I'm caught in the mindset that name of that camp will always be tied to this tragedy. What do you do? Do you rebrand? Do you move to a slightly different location, even if you own the property? Maybe move over a little bit so you're not on the location where the camp actually had that. How do you rebuild a Camp Mystic without?
There is a whole group of parents. I mean, they opened up registration for this camp, and it had thousands of registrants.
So people were going to come back.
People were going to go. Yes, absolutely. It was going to be back full on. And there are a lot of Camp Mystic families that don't want it to change, that say this is a legacy, beloved camp and tradition for women in Texas and young girls in Texas. And they wanted it to come back, and they wanted a lot of the parents, I think, from firsthand conversations that I've had, basically said that they felt that perhaps their daughter would find some healing in being able to go back and have a good experience after having such a traumatic experience. And a lot of young girls wanted to go back. So it was a difficult decision. Yeah. But I think it's the right one to not open it. There are the parents that are still grieving for their kids.
Earl Grey T-Cat says, I think that they did need to shut down and be permanently shut down. There's too much trauma, and they have not really made any changes to show that it's safe. Resin8 writes in that I was a Cub Scout and Boy Scout and good many years of camping after I almost lost my life in a similar basin camping in a floodplain. Scariest night of my life. Wow. Woke up to the tents washing away. Scary thoughts.
Wow.
We're interested in your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions to this story. Feel free to share them with us. 713-440-887.
Coming up on Hello Houston, Gus Fauché, Chief Economics for PNC, will tell us about a new Houston economy report. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
Currently incarcerated in one of the largest prisons on Earth. On the next Snap Judgment, Fire Escape. Do not miss it.
You can hear it tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
You've heard of the dodo bird, but some other big birds from the past really do deserve your attention. Meet the terror bird.
They had heads the size of a horse's head with this nasty, gnarly, sharp beak. They were kickboxers and they were flesh slicers.
And we'll talk about them on Science Friday from WNYC Studios.
It's coming up at 1 o'clock today on News 88.7.
You may have noticed that the Trump administration likes to quote the Bible to justify its policies, but are Christians at large buying what Trump is preaching? This week on It's Been a Minute, the answer is yes and no.
And on Wildcard, Lena Dunham. Something that I love about getting older is I feel like I get closer to the person that I was as a child. That's on Wildcard, and It's Been a Minute from NPR.
Tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Support comes from Rice University. Founded in 1912, Rice is a private research university with programs in business, the sciences, and more. Students conduct research in fields from health to space exploration. More at rice.edu.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Near Northwest Management District, celebrating 25 years at the intersection of innovation. More information at nnmd.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste, Díaz, Schurman, and Ernie Manouse.
A fresh look at Houston's economic outlook shows both resilience and some new challenges ahead. A new report from PNC highlights a rebound in job growth after a mid-2025 slowdown, continued strength tied to higher energy prices, and some emerging concerns in the housing market and population growth. Joining us to break it all down is Gus Fauché, the chief economist at PNC, with insights on where Houston's economy stands today and what to expect in the months to come. Gus, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me.
Gus, if we were to just start this off, what would be the headline? Is this the story of resilience or one of warning signs that are beginning to emerge?
I think it's a story of resilience. I think that the Houston economy continues to lead the overall national economy, that the area has weathered a bit of a slowdown in manufacturing activity, but that our other industries are picking up the slack, and that the Houston economy should continue to expand through 2026 and into 2027.
How does that live in the world of what we hear every single day about how bad things are? Why are we unique in this, or can both stories be true?
I think people are concerned about prices. In particular, they're concerned about high gasoline prices. So we've seen them up $1 a gallon over the past couple of months because of the situation with Iran. But when we look at job growth, we continue to see jobs increase. We are seeing wages go up a little bit faster than prices. Inflation is a big concern for many households. But generally, I think in the economy isn't as good as it was a couple of years ago. We're seeing slower job growth in Houston. We're seeing a slightly higher unemployment rate. But looking at the broader picture, I think we can say we have an economy that is in decent shape, but not as strong as it was a couple of years ago.
You know, you mentioned Iran, and I'm curious, Houston's economy has always been very closely tied to energy. And I'm wondering which sectors right now in Houston are really leading that hiring right now.
Well, in kind of late 2025, early 2026, it's been the construction industry that's been strongest. We are seeing a little bit, there's a lot of housing building that's taking place in Houston, and so that's helping to lead economic growth. We're seeing a little bit of a pickup in service industries, things like healthcare, professional and business services, so headquarters jobs, law firms, accounting firms, that kind of thing. Manufacturing is a little bit soft and has been soft for a couple of years, but generally we're seeing broad-based growth. We haven't seen a pickup in energy yet, but I would expect that if oil prices remain near where they are, around $100 a barrel, that we will see a bit of a pickup in the energy industry in the second half of 2026.
So if I'm interpreting this correctly, higher energy prices, good for Houston.
That's correct. And we've generally seen that the Houston economy has done well when energy prices have been higher. The area's oil and gas exploration and development firms, the industries that support that, there's more drilling taking place, and so that's good for Houston. I do think that the benefit is going to be less this time around because the oil companies are more disciplined. They're not responding to this huge surge in prices. They're concerned that it could only be temporary depending on the geopolitical situation with Iran. But I do think that the higher energy prices remain for an extended period of time, that is good news overall for the Houston economy, even if consumers are suffering from paying higher gasoline prices.
Talk to me a little bit about consumer confidence. And I'm curious from your studies, your understanding, what exactly impacts that? Is it reality of a situation or is it perception of a situation?
It's a combination of both reality and perception. We get a number called consumer sentiment from the University of Michigan. In April, that was at its lowest level since the survey began, and it's been going on for 40 or 50 years. And that includes, for example, the very bad recession we had in the early 1980s, the Great Recession from 2007 through 2009, and then the pandemic. And consumers are saying, hey, we're worse off during those periods. I objectively don't think that that's true. The unemployment rate is low. We're still adding jobs. What consumers are dealing with is higher prices, particularly higher energy prices. We've had a big increase in prices, since the pandemic, and I think consumers are responding to that. So some of it is reflecting the softer job market that we have now. Some of it is reflecting higher inflation. And then I think a lot of it is just general consumer angst about where things are going. But I certainly wouldn't argue that this is the worst economy that we've had in 40 or 50 years.
Now, Gus, your report also flags some emerging concerns around the housing market. And I'm curious what you all are seeing specifically.
Yeah, price growth has slowed in the Houston area over the past couple of years. Obviously, mortgage rates a few years ago were below 3%. Now they're above 6%. So that's making it more expensive to borrow to buy a home. The Houston area is seeing slower population growth. So with restrictions on immigration and increased deportation, demand for housing is slowing somewhat. And so after a very strong price growth, house prices up 20% year over year in Houston a few years ago, we're seeing much weaker price growth. And it could be that we would even see small house price declines in Houston in the near term because of affordability issues. But I do think that over the longer run, the area continues to enjoy above average population growth and that house price growth should resume by 2027.
When you talk about, I know we're jumping around a bit here, but when you talk about unemployment being relatively low and but hiring is slow, How do those things fit together to give us an equation that talks to the potential employment market in our area?
So what we are seeing is that if you have a job right now, layoffs are very low in the economy. Businesses don't want to be cut short with too few workers. They're going to have problems recruiting because of restrictions in immigration and so forth. So businesses aren't cutting jobs. What they are doing is they have cut back a lot on hiring. So if you are coming into the job market, if you're returning after having a child, if you're graduating from high school or college, if you're moving to Houston from another part of the country, you may have a difficulty in finding a job. But what we are seeing is that for people who are currently employed, they're remaining employed, and that is helping to keep that unemployment rate low. It's a little bit higher in Houston than it is in the rest of the country, about 4.6% in Houston, about 4.3% nationally. But historically, that's still a low unemployment rate and is a signal of a labor market that is in good shape, even if it isn't as strong as it was a few years ago.
Help me through this. We often are looking at history and understanding how things were to figure out where they're going. We're looking at trends and all of that. And a very unique thing happened in recent years, which was the pandemic, which changed everything. So when you're figuring these forecasts and looking at how things are evolving and developing, are you imagining that block of time where the pandemic happened didn't, so you're looking from up to 2020 and then continuing on now? Or do you have to take into consideration the uniqueness of what happened during the pandemic? And then does that sway or change what these statistics today actually say? Very long question. I hope you followed me.
No, fair enough. What I would say is that we're not putting full weight on the pandemic experience. The normal state of the U.S. economy is expansion. Over time, the U.S. economy most of the time is growing. The pandemic was obviously for us a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Certainly, we're not going to forecast another pandemic. We can't predict when it's going to happen. So we're looking at long-term trends in the U.S. economy, long-term trends in the Houston economy. How has it done? Not just over the past 5 or 6 years, but over the past 40 years, over the past 50 years. And looking at that longer run experience, it tells us that we should see economic growth both in the United States and Houston, that Houston will see population growth that's above the national average, and that Houston should see job growth and economic growth that is also above the national average over time.
So I guess just to clarify that one point there. So after the pandemic, where so many people were maybe out of work, the jobs opened up again, we see a growth in hiring. You're not seeing that as saying that the job market is improving because we are just getting back to where we were? Or do we incorporate that and say, look at this great job growth, but it's really because we had a huge job stoppage?
We're certainly discounting the period in 2021 and 2022 when businesses were rehiring workers they had laid off after the pandemic. But in 2023 and 2024, we saw employment that was well above where it had been before the pandemic. We saw an unemployment rate in 2023 that got down to 3.4%. That's the lowest unemployment rate we've had in more than 50 years. Now it's up nationally to 4.3%. So, we did see, even looking past the pandemic in 2023, 2024, we had a very strong economy nationally and in Houston. We had a very strong labor market. It's softened somewhat since then, but I think we're getting close to where the economy should be over the longer run. And so we are looking at trends kind of starting in 2026 and saying, hey, what we've experienced over the past couple of years, that's most likely what we're going to see over the next few years, taking into account that we're going to have fewer workers because of the restrictions on immigration we're seeing right now.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, Gus. Houston has long benefited from strong population growth and immigration. Those are two issues that we have seen major declines in. So can you tell us what that essentially is trending, where we are at right now in regards to population growth as well as immigration in Houston?
Yeah, Houston has had population growth more than double the national average over the past 25 years. So very, very strong population growth. And that's been driven by international immigration, but also domestic immigration. You have more people moving into the Houston area who were born in the United States than leaving the Houston area. And then there's also strong what we call natural population growth. So in Houston, there are more births than there are deaths, young people having babies and so forth. So we expect to see a substantial slowing in Houston. We've already starting to see a substantial slowing in Houston population growth in 2025. It's going to remain softer in 2026, 2027, but we are still seeing people move from other parts of the United States into Houston. And so because of that, we expect to see slower population growth in Houston, but a continued above average population growth as people from other parts of the United States move into the area.
We are speaking with Gus Fauché, the chief economist at PNC. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
We had a comment come in on our YouTube that said, this gentleman is living in another world. In the real world, people's unemployment has run out, temp work is scarce, and the job market for professionals like my family and neighbors is definitely bad. Reaction.
I don't want to claim that everything is great in the economy. And certainly if you lose your job in the current environment, as I mentioned, hiring is slow and it's difficult to find a new one. But when we look broadly, we still have a low unemployment rate. We are still seeing positive job growth. It's weaker than it was a few years ago. But I think when you look objectively at the numbers overall, we're still seeing a labor market that is solid, even if it isn't as good as it was in 2023, 2024. But certainly for people who have lost their jobs, it's a very difficult environment. We don't see businesses hiring very much right now.
You don't see businesses hiring. Do you see businesses across the country looking at Houston and saying that's a desirable place to relocate to? How does the outside the area see our area?
Yeah, Houston has done very well in that respect, and I think that it's going to continue to do well over the longer run. There's a pro-business environment. State taxes generally are lower in Texas than they are in other parts of the country. And again, there is a big pool of available labor here because we continue to see people move into the Houston area. So the area has done a very good job of attracting businesses. There's also just a lot of land in the Houston area, right? It's easy for businesses to expand geographically as the metropolitan area reaches out further and further from the city center. So a lot of distribution industries, things like that, access to the port, which is important for businesses that are internationally focused. So Houston has a lot of those advantages that I think will continue over the longer run.
Another question, we talked a little bit about this already, but housing availability could be one factor that's holding back growth, and it comes with interest rates and properties and availability and all of that. How do you see that impacting both what we have currently and future growth?
Yeah, so one of Houston's big advantages over the longer run has been housing that is relatively affordable compared to incomes compared to other parts of the country. To some extent, that advantage has eroded, but there's still been a lot of construction activity in Houston. It is still, given lack of zoning and low taxes and so forth, it's still fairly easy to put up housing in Houston compared to other parts of the country, and that has been a draw for people. That being said, we are seeing some softness nationally, some softness locally in the housing market, in large part because of higher interest rates. And then another concern is that a lot of the labor that has been building housing, particularly in Houston, has been immigrant labor. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be more and more difficult for construction firms to find construction workers. So that may weigh on housing construction in the near term. But I still think that compared to other parts of the country, the Houston housing market does have some advantages, including the availability of land, the availability of labor. And again, that will help keep housing in Houston relatively affordable compared to the rest of the country, and that should be a draw for people to move into the area.
Okay, before we run out of time and taking everything now in that we've talked about and that you have researched, if you're advising local policymakers and business leaders, what should they be focusing on right now?
They should be prepared for slower economic growth in the near term, that higher energy prices on net are a negative for the United States, even if they're a small positive for Houston. But I do think that over the longer run, as hopefully the situation in Iran resolves itself, as we see energy prices come down, we should see a pickup in economic activity in 2027, 2028. And again, I think that the Houston area will continue to see above average economic growth.
Gus Fauché is the chief economist at PNC. Gus, thank you so much for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up, we're going to find out about the women's resource of Greater Houston and the impact they're having on our city. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Meet Damola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Damola to learn more about his ride.
Join us for more true stories told live. Dogs, cats, snakes, and more. That's on the Moth Radio Hour from PRX.
You can hear the Moth Radio Hour. It's on tomorrow at noon.
The Irish hip-hop group Kneecap is no stranger to controversy over their activism. On their new album, Fenian, they're leaning in even harder.
As an Irish person, it sparks something in your DNA. You're not willing to stay silent and watch this happen to other people. So you have to understand we're not doing this for no reason.
I'm Scott Detrow. That story on All Things Considered from NPR News.
You can check it out today at 3 o'clock.
Cuban brass legend Arturo Sandoval's new album is called Sangu. What's it mean?
It's a very funny story because my English is very funny. And when we play back the first track, I said, Sangu.
And it does sound good. Arturo Sandoval with his son, Turi. Saturday and weekend edition from NPR News.
You can listen tomorrow, 7 till 9 a.m.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste Díaz Schurman and Ernie Manouse.
Today, we're highlighting an organization that helps women take control of their financial futures and build lasting economic stability. They provide career support, financial education, and one-on-one coaching, really meeting women where they are, whether they're working, studying, or navigating major life transitions. In 2025 alone, they served more than 2,600 individuals through dozens of community partnerships, offering services in both English and Spanish, virtually and in person. Joining us now to tell us more is Stephanie Majors, the Chief Development Officer of the Women's Resource of Greater Houston. Stephanie, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here.
So I just got to ask you, when you talk about women taking control of her finances and that she controls her destiny, I was reading a lot about that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the women we serve, and we see women all across the greater Houston area, and we really do try to meet them where they are. But what we found is that if women can really learn to save and budget and understand how to decrease debt or not ever get into debt, right, that they can really make a strong financial future for themselves and their families.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that it's harder work than you think on the surface because of a long history, and not necessarily recent history, but a very long history of you couldn't get a credit card without your husband signing off on it. You were Mrs. James so-and-so. Mm-hmm. You had to get approval for everything you did. You didn't have your own checking account, all of that. So out of a culture that grew that way for a very long period of time, and then the shift to where we are now, are you still encountering areas and families that still believe that old structure and that is holding back movement forward?
It's interesting. There definitely is some of that, right? Oh, and also just culturally as well, right? Where there are women that just were never taught by their families because of some of the, cultural and historical implications, right? To learn how to save or how to budget. Like they never were in control of that. So we see women across the board, and it's not just women on their own. We've also widowers, divorcees, people that have just never ever dealt with their own finances, right? And so these people really need help in even just knowing where to start and how to even create a budget to be able to save, especially for a rainy day or emergency fund.
Not just women. I need some of this work too. I don't know how to do
could
any
use
of this.
some of this financial literacy as well. No, but really, what are some of the first kind of dominoes to fall when you see a woman who can really starts to really understand her finances?
Yes. So the women really, you can kind of see the light like click, right? Or that turning point in their head when they realize like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can save. Even if it's only $5 a week. We do that with our high school program as well, with our Rise Girls, that if you can just save $5 a week, even like one less Starbucks or one less, trip to eat out, you can truly make a difference. And it's that every little bit really helps. Our women as a whole that are in our financial coaching program, if they stay with us through a year, and sometimes even more, right, they can save over $1,100 in a year, increase their credit score by 39 points, which is outstanding because oftentimes a lot of these women can't get loans, right, for cars, even just to rent a new apartment because of their credit score. So just with that increase alone, it offers up so many opportunities for them to be able to further their success and their families.
Well, I look at the work you do, and you've mentioned some of it in this financial realm, from working with high school girls and high school classes, finance classes, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, vocational training, professional development. So much goes into this. It's not just, this is how money works. It's got to be applied to your circumstances and a place for you to be able to interact with understanding it.
Correct. It's definitely a holistic approach, right? It's not just one piece of it because there's so many things that affect your financial being, right? When you're struggling financially, it affects your mental health, your physical health, so many different aspects, relationships-wise. So being able to really holistically be able to approach it to help them get their finances under control, but then also help them in their career and career development piece is crucial. We actually just started a workforce development program a couple years ago. We just recently graduated the most recent successful cohort with Bechtel, where we had a partnership with them where they agreed to all of our clients that went through the program successfully were all offered a job at the end of that program. And they are making substantially more than would be the minimum wage, right? On average right now, our women are making, it was $21. Now we're up to $23.89 an hour, which is significant for our women. So being able to find those resources to put them in these careers, oftentimes that are non-traditional for women, right? And be able to create a successful living wage, right? Where they can then hopefully grow and expand themselves as well as their families.
And, I was reading about, the Women's Resource of Greater Houston, and you touched on that. I saw that nearly half report household incomes of $12,500 or less. And I think that when we hear the words low to moderate income, we just hear income. They're making something, but I don't think we actually make the connection. $12,500. Explain to us how this helps them navigate into these higher wages.
Yeah. So through budgeting, right, and really learning how to save, this helps them kind of grow and get themselves out of that poverty, range. Of course, unfortunately, the majority of single-family households in the United States and especially in Texas are women-led, right? And so the women especially they have so many demands on their time and their resources between taking care of the household and the kids, right? And then also trying to find a job that pays well with benefits. And so just being able to get them to just to learn and really to be able to budget and save is kind of step one of that, right? And then being able to help them find positions that will give them those benefits and a secure wage is step two, right? And then helping kind of build them out and then further develop them. We do work with a lot of other nonprofits too throughout the city of Houston to help them also where things might occur. We had a woman who was lovely, and we'd gotten her kind of to the point where she felt like she was saving and she had like that emergency savings, but she just could not get into being able to buying a house, right? And it's something she'd always dreamed of. So we actually got her connected with Habitat for Humanity. Where she was actually able to then participate in that program to help build her own house, right? To be able to, grow and take care of her family long term, which was awesome.
Okay, here's the wet blanket question.
Yes.
That's my job today.
Yes.
Resistance you get. Are there organizations out there that say, hey, you don't need to be doing this work, or it's not something they buy into? What is the I guess, their understanding of why this isn't significant and important?
I have not found that to be the case just yet. Again, we're very lucky that we partner with a lot of other organizations, even for mental health counseling, different services that women might need. And so all of them really do understand that you have to have a stable economic household to be able to really continue on and further yourselves in all parts of your life, right? And also just, again, for your mental health and your physical health, you need to have that stable income and that stable base to be able to do that. So thankfully, we haven't had, I've not heard someone say it's not necessary, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
Right. And Stephanie, looking ahead, when you think about women and finances and financial literacy, what do you think it's going to take to no longer be, for a woman to no longer be needing this type of assistance?
That's a very good question. And I think it's going to take a while, but I do think it helps. Having great supporters and funders, right? And companies that really believe in this and see the value in that is amazing. And also being able to get the women to truly understand it too, right? And not have a fear of reaching out and asking for help. That is definitely something that I think as women oftentimes we have we don't like to ask for help necessarily, right? So that's why with all of our programs, we do try to really meet women where they are, whether it's virtually, whether it's going to meet them at a coffee shop, or whether it's through one of our nonprofit partners like Star of Hope or Houston Area Women's Center, right? Where we're actually going to the shelters, but really meeting them where they are and getting them to trust us and know that we are there as a resource, and really hoping that they are willing and open to that help.
And when I hear about you talking about the resources and the different support, all I hear is that it takes a community. It takes employers, organizations, people within your neighborhood, services to understand and meet you where you're at. And oftentimes people that have a community think, oh, everybody else has these resources, and so many people don't. So if people want to learn more about this program, where can they go?
They can go to our website at www.thewomensresource.org. We have tons of information on the website, but also we do love volunteers. I have to give a shout out to our amazing volunteers, because we have so many women that come to us every week wanting to give back and help support other women. And so all of our financial literacy classes are all taught by volunteers. Our one-on-one coaching and our career coaching is all done through paid staff, but our finance classes are actually taught by our amazing volunteers who just really want to support other women.
In 15 seconds, people listening right now want to get that first step in the door of learning about financial education. Where would you recommend they go outside of your program? Which,
I would definitely, of course, suggest to come to we have free classes that you can register for all across the community. That would be, it's for anyone, actually. We've even had men in our classes come
Ernie.
for our free classes. But we do also have our annual luncheon coming up on Friday, May 8th, which is a huge event that honors outstanding women in banking and finance as well. But if they want to come, they can still attend the luncheon next week too, and learn more about and hear from our scholarship winners, some of our amazing clients, and just hear about the work we do.
Stephanie Majors, thank you so much for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thanks for having me.
Great information.
This is fantastic information. Coming up on Houston, we're going to continue discussing today's top headlines. We're also going to have a very special guest, the preservation
extraordinaire
Phoebe
Tudor will be joining us to tell us about the work she's doing out in the community to save our history.
That's right. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
On the next Fresh Air, Booker Prize-winning novelist Douglas Stewart. Like the main character of his first two novels, Stewart grew up in Glasgow in the 1980s, working class, queer, and with an alcoholic mother. He also went on to have a career in fashion in New York, which plays into his latest novel. Join us.
You can listen to Fresh Air. Coming up tonight, it's on at 8 o'clock.
Support comes from Near Northwest Management District, located just off 290 and the 610 Loop, with a mixture of modern and mid-century homes and businesses. More information at nnmd.org. At the intersection of innovation.
Still have that flood watch in effect until early tomorrow morning. 90% chance of more showers throughout the day. The high getting up to around 68. Currently, it's 64. I'm Tom Carter. This is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston. It's 12 o'clock.
Just ahead this hour on Hello Houston, May Day demonstrations are drawing crowds across the country, with organizers calling for a boycott of work, school, and shopping. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Celeste Díaz Schurman. We'll also talk with preservationist extraordinaire Phoebe Tudor, who will tell us about the importance of historical preservation from the Astrodome to the White House.
Plus, we'll also share a rundown of events happening this weekend in Houston for our regular Friday feature, Last Minute Plans.
Also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump argues the U.S. war with Iran is over because of the April ceasefire. Critics say not so. Democrats and a handful of Republicans have pushed unsuccessfully to limit Trump's military actions in the Middle East. Today marks the 60-day deadline for Congress to intervene. So far, the GOP majority in Congress has made no attempt at enforcing requirements under the War Powers Resolution of 1973 to authorize use of force, grant an extension, or withdraw troops. This as the American public grapples with higher gas prices stemming from competing blockades in the Strait of Hormuz. At the White House today, President Trump sought to reassure the public.
When the war ends, gasoline prices are going to tumble because there is so much right now on the seas already loaded into tankers that can't escape the strait. There is so much, like record-setting. But when the war ends, gasoline prices will go down to below what they were.
AAA says on average, people in the U.S. are now paying around $4.40 for a gallon of regular gasoline. In some places like California, prices top $6. Federal courts across the U.S. are overwhelmed by a surge in immigration cases. Hawaii Public Radio's Maddie Bender reports judges in their state are stepping in to help courts in California.
Federal judges in Hawaii have taken on more than 50 immigration cases from 3 districts in California. All are habeas corpus petitions in which detained immigrants allege the government is unlawfully holding them in custody. The Eastern District of California has received more than 3,000 petitions from immigration detainees since last January, more than almost any other district in the country. Chief Judge Troy Nunley says his district is grateful to be outsourcing cases to judges in Hawaii.
It was taking its toll on all of our judges. It was taking, and not only the judges, it takes a toll on our staff. And we were getting these cases at all hours of the night.
Judges in San Francisco and Washington State are also pitching in to help the district's caseload. For NPR News, I'm Maddie Bender in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Voting starts tomorrow in Louisiana's primary elections. This despite the Supreme Court decision this week to strike down the state's congressional map. NPR's Ashley Lopez reports.
Louisiana's Republican Secretary of State Nancy Landry announced that most of Louisiana's primaries, including a closely watched Senate primary, will proceed as scheduled, but not the House seats. Early voting in the state starts on Saturday, and voting ends on May 16 for the state's primaries. Absentee voting has already been underway. Republican Governor Jeff Landry said the state is sending notices to early voting sites to warn voters that even though U.S. House races will appear on their ballots, those votes will not be counted. It is unclear when Louisiana will hold elections for seats in the U.S. House of Representatives.
It's NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A flood watch continues in effect for Harris and all surrounding counties. Conditions are favorable for flooding. Watch for street flooding, ponding, and standing water. Up to 4 inches of rain are possible with recent waves of downfall. A criminal investigation is underway into several former Fort Bend ISD employees. Fort Bend County Bureau reporter Melissa Enaje has more.
The Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office is handling a case that involves several students who are in the special education class at Walter Moses Burton Elementary. One of the alleged incidents includes a 6-year-old autistic and nonverbal student whose family found him bruised after coming home from school. Fort Bend ISD released a statement saying they've reported the matter to Child Protective Services and are fully cooperating with the ongoing investigation. For News 88.7, I'm Melissa Nahe.
Exploration of new oil fields becoming a top priority again for many major oil companies. That's according to the recent report from data analytics company Wood Mackenzie. Here's Andrew Latham, a senior vice president at Wood Mackenzie.
A lot of the exploration industry around the world is led from Houston, and the geoscientists and the engineers that are leading and doing that work are working in Houston, but we're not seeing a enormous growth in the number of people that the industry employs.
The company says the increased oil exploration does not appear to be related to the war in Iran. In sports, the Astros open up in Boston tonight. First pitch is at 6:35. The Rockets are back home tonight against the Lakers. They tip off at 8:30. Checking your weather, we are under a flood watch through 4 a.m. Saturday morning. Another round of storms is pushing into the region, causing delays at Bush Airport. Showers into tonight, a high of 68 today, a low around 55. Right now, we've got rain, fog, and mist, 63 degrees on the UH campus.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. Fisher is committed to helping clients stay on track to reach their financial goals and enjoy a comfortable retirement. FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie Manouse and Celeste Díaz Schurman.
Thanks for joining us the second hour of Hello Houston. Today is May 1st, 2026.
Starting a new month. We're in it. Here we go. Okay, here's a little update for everybody that is paying attention.
Okay.
I keep saying about every day I drive by a voting booth to see what I can vote for because I never know anymore when elections are going on. We've got some going on right now in our area. So early voting for special election for District C is underway with the actual election day for that on May 16th. So if you're in District C, you can vote right now or wait till May 16th. Texas Senate District 4, their election day is tomorrow, so you can go and vote on Saturday for that. And then the primary runoff for all the things that we got down to 2 candidates for back in March, that runoff is May 26th. So you got a bunch to vote for right now in the month of May.
And if you are not sure what district you're in, you can go to harrisvotes.com and it'll have all the information there. And you can find out where you can vote if you are in that district, what district you're in. Because, we talk about voting, but I feel like we rarely actually talk about it can be confusing.
Oh, it's extremely confusing. And also make sure you're registered to vote
Mm-hmm.
because you can't play it unless you're a member of the team, I guess. I don't know how you want to word that. So make sure you're registered to vote. If not, get registered. And then because we've got even bigger elections coming in the fall.
Sorry,
so
you
don't
said
forget that.
you can't play it like play the lottery.
Yeah, it's not just like the lottery. You can't just show up one day and say, hey, I'll do that. You know, somebody who never plays the lottery around here and makes sure everything works like clockwork is with us in the studio right now. He is our general manager, vice president. I don't know. The titles continue to grow for you.
You know what? Let's just say general manager of Houston Public Media.
Josh Adams is here in the house with us today.
I think the metaphor you guys were looking for was you have to buy a lottery ticket in order to play. So get registered to vote.
All right, and that's why you're the big boss. So the question
Those are the kinds
must be,
of quips that enable me to help run this fine organization.
What has brought you down from your ivory tower to be on us today?
Ivory tower.
Well, I came to give you your papers. No, sadly, Celeste is going to be leaving us.
Flying the
so
coop.
I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity not just to say thank you, but to represent what an important player she was to building what Hello Houston has become. I spent a little time this week going back and looking at some of the old shows from a year ago and remembering back to when we built the studio and we were assembling the team and we really were sort of thinking about, well, who are we going to hire? Who's going to be, well, we really need, I think Ernie would be great, and we need someone else. And then we need a voice, someone who's going to sort of be a producer. And Celeste quickly raised her hand and was like, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Me.
And then never from day one was she ever not the third anchor of the show. And it was very apparent very quickly that that's the way the show needed to go. That's what was best for the community in terms of how we presented information, the perspectives that we brought to the show, and where we put our priorities. And so, I know that wasn't what we designed, but I'm not sure what we designed, in my grand vision was really what needed to happen. Certainly what we got over the last 12 months was what we needed, and we have you to thank for that.
To go back for a second, I think what you were looking for was troublemaker. We needed a troublemaker in the mix.
Look, you got to have a little sand in the gears every once in a while.
No, I said it earlier, and I can't say it enough. I want to thank Houston Public Media, Josh, Laurie Johnson Ramirez, Jack Williams, Jim Kovacic for, giving me the opportunity to prove what I always knew I was capable of. And I understand that I'm very fortunate. And this is a lesson for all of us, trust your supervisors, go and say what you want. And a lot of times, Josh told me no on a lot of things. I have spent a lot of times in Josh's office crying. And but truly, this organization truly is a mission to educate and inform. And that's what we tried to do here on Hello Houston. And we are proud of what we've built.
Very well said. What I will say about specifically our time together, Celeste, is that I think that we've built a culture at Houston Public Media where employees know that they have voice, and they know they have an audience with me, with their managers to express what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what they think their goals are. And equally so, I think there is a culture that they're going to get honest feedback on some of those. And I hope that I deliver honest feedback with compassion, and I hope I can deliver it with care. But Ernie knows well, too, I sometimes deliver it the way I deliver it. And that can, I think, be interpreted lots of different ways out there. I hope what folks are taking away from this is that, feedback can be a gift if you look at it that way. And we certainly had the gift of Celeste being here and being a part of this show, not just on air, but being an ambassador for what the show can mean, how the show develops. And that's not to take away from everything that Ernie's done for the show or what Frank did or what our incredible team back here with Jim and the rest of the folks do. Everybody plays a role. But this is a moment today to celebrate the role that Celeste play. And whoever we are able to convince to come work here, they're going to have big shoes to fill when you're gone in what amounts to about 45 minutes. I'm sure you're going to work counting. You're going to work a full day today, right?
That's another thing, right? Yeah, I've gotten a lot of questions about what's going to happen to Hello Houston, and I'm like, Nothing. It's going to continue to go because it wasn't about me. It was about the listener. It was about our viewer. It was about, people that believe in public media, people that believe in storytelling and truth. And Ernie is here, and he's a pillar, and he's a trusted voice within our community. And I think that the fact that Houston Public Media has someone like Ernie, who has given his life and his career to make sure people are informed, means a lot. And it says a lot also about the organization. And so Hello Houston was built by a lot of sweat, tears, collaboration, work, effort. And I built this seat specifically, which I hope to gift the next person that sits in there. So I would love for it to be a woman who will get to take it on and make it their own and not have to sit in my seat, but really understand the mission of Hello Houston. And the mission of Hello Houston is not about one host. It's not about one voice. It's about our community. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, I think that I think it's important to say that we had an incredible first year with this show. It is not often that you launch a show in any capacity. And listen, I've been in media more than 25 years. I've launched a lot of shows. I've done really well. I'll put some crap on the air, unfortunately. But the reality is you learn from all of that. It is not often that you get to launch a show, have it be as incredible as Hello Houston was in the first 12 months, and then you get to start not over, but from that point to try to make year two equally as incredible in its growth. And that's the expectation I've set with the leaders of this show, with the leaders of the organization, with Ernie, with the folks around. We've had these conversations. Year two of Hello Houston is going to have as much impact as year one, and it's also going to grow in all the areas we've now identified as this is where we need to be headed. This is how we can serve our audience better. And I want the listeners to know who are listening, who are watching online, you guys are the ones who are telling us that this is how we drive the show. We listen to you. We see your text. We get your phone calls. We look at what you write in the YouTube chats. And we take that to heart. And we come and we have conversations and we go, look, could we have done that better? How would we have done that better? How do we do that in the future to make sure it has more impact? And that goes for how the content team works on content. But it also goes for how we find new hosts and curate new people to come be different perspectives and different voices on the show. And I'm excited about that opportunity, but I'm sad to say goodbye for now. It's not goodbye. It's not goodbye forever.
I keep putting it out there. This is not a full-on goodbye. This is just a see you later. Houston Public Media will always be my home. I keep telling that in front of my supervisors. I'm around. I can come in and guest host whenever y'all need some support. But yeah, Houston Public Media will always be my home. I will always be a supporter of public media. I think it's a pillar within our community, and I'm just very proud of what we have built.
Josh, I'm waiting for her reaction the day she comes to the front desk and they're like, and you are, and you're here to see
right,
who?
Exactly.
And she's going to be like, wait a minute, I'm coming in.
They're going to call up and be like, Celeste Schurman here to see you. Does she have an appointment?
Yeah. So, Josh, thank you for coming in and sharing with us today.
Thank you,
we got a bunch of comments coming in. I'm going to read some of those for you, Miss Celeste. We had an email came in to Hello Houston. I really enjoyed listening to Hello Houston, the camaraderie between Ernie and Celeste and Frank. I wish the best to both of them, Celeste and Frank, as they move on to other things. Ernie, I look forward to hearing what you're going to do next on air. And that's from Vanetta. And Vanetta, as you just heard, I'm still going to be doing this right here with you every day. Then my British computer guy, good friend of the show, writes in, over the first year, it's been awesome watching the show grow. The team really gelled, becoming the voice of Houston and honestly a part of my extended family. There's change ahead, but I'm sure in a positive way. And we got a text, goodbye, Celeste. What I will miss most about Celeste is I can literally hear you smiling when you're reading your script. Good luck in California. I'm sure they'll love you there, too. And that was from Lupe in South Houston.
Oh, thanks, Lupe.
She says, it was nice to hear from Frank today, too.
Yeah.
So.
No, I appreciate our community and Houston Public Media and Hello Houston, Houston Matters, all of the content, the news reporters, everybody that works every day extremely hard to make sure that Houston is educated and informed isn't going anywhere. And I will be around. In fact, I think I'll be around more than y'all actually think. No, just kidding.
Well, we have more of our show to get to today. We're going to be talking about preservation and the importance of saving our past and our history. But also, we are here at work today. Not everybody is, and that leads us into our headlines for this hour. Celeste, take it away.
May Day demonstrations are expected to draw large crowds nationwide today, Friday, May 1st, as organizers call for a boycott of work, school, and shopping. The protests target policies of the Trump administration and what activists describe as a growing concentration of wealth and power in government. Events under the May Day Strong banner will take place in cities from Boston to San Francisco, marking International Labor Day. They follow recent nationwide protests organizers say have drawn millions. In the U.S., May Day has long been a day of protest dating back to the 19th century fight for an 8-hour workday when shifts often stretched to 12 hours or more. The National Education Association, the country's largest labor union with about 3 million members, is among the key groups organizing Friday's demonstration. Are you taking part in May Day protest by boycotting work, school, or shopping today? Give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870.
And I don't want to make light of this story at all, but I do have to say the funniest thing is you were reading this earlier and you're like, work, school, shopping? Who would boycott shopping? And as we, in a serious note, we understand the importance of that. It's to show the frustration. And it's amazing, one day off of shopping, the impact that makes on the whole economy, on businesses and industry, and they can feel and see that. We, of course, are working today, but are you taking the day off? Are you thinking, you know what, I want my voice to be heard. I'm going to go out and it's probably a little hard in Houston right now to protest because of the rain, but simply, did you stay home today because of this protest? Did you want your voice heard? Do you think these kind of protests are impactful? Do you think they listen when we do that? 713-440-8870.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the most important ones. Workers need to be heard and understood, even if things are going well or you feel like they are or not. This is an important day for labor workers to show they are empowered, they can group together, and their voices will be heard.
Josh was addressing that just a little bit ago about a desire when he came into the position he's in now of making sure we had an organization where those beneath his position were heard and had a voice. It wasn't all management deciding, but we have, is it weekly, bi-weekly entire staff meetings, and people are open to share and talk about what's going on. Not all industry is built like that. We're public media. We come with a certain, I don't want to say pedigree, but a certain DNA when it comes to stuff like that. A lot of people don't have that, and we lose sight of that in today's day and age. And policies and procedures are put in place and measures are done which impact all of us. And so it's important to have a time when your voice can be heard and you get out there and do it.
Now, we officially here in the U.S., we observe Labor Day, but I think that this is a global movement, May Day. It's happening in all these other countries. And as we see the situation with the tensions that are happening in the Middle East, we absolutely at this moment, I think workers more than ever are feeling the pinch and feeling stretched.
And remember, we want to hear what you think of this topic. Give us a call or text 713-440-8870. We have so much more on today's show.
That's right. Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with preservationist extraordinaire Phoebe Tudor. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Sunday night at 6 o'clock.
The Supreme Court gutted a key piece of the Voting Rights Act, what it means for Republican control of Congress and Black representation. Plus, why conspiracy theories spread like wildfire after last weekend's attempted attack on the president. And King Charles tries to smooth over U.S.-UK relations. I'm Susan Davis, in for David Green. Join Mo Alathe, Sarah Isger, and me for Left, Right, and Center.
Sunday evening at 5 p.m.
High stakes at the nation's highest court on whether states can warn about the cancer risk of a pesticide when the EPA does not.
What's at stake is that there are 100,000 lawsuits claiming that Bayer has to disclose the cancer risk of glyphosate, right? So, I mean, this is unprecedented.
I'm Steve Kerwood. State rights to warn versus federal preemption. Next time on Living on Earth from PRX.
Listen Saturday night at 10 p.m.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now. Support comes from Smart Financial Center in Sugar Land. Presenting Leslie Odom Jr., The Christmas Tour. Odom, a star of Broadway's Hamilton, performs Saturday, November 28th. Tickets at smartfinancialcenter.net.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste, Díaz, Schurman, and Ernie Manouse.
From legendary sports arenas to significant symbols of our government, historic preservation continues to be on our minds and in the headlines. One Houstonian makes it her mission to save our collective past and preserve it for future generations. From overseeing the restoration of the Julia Eidson Library to serving as the founding chairman of the Astrodome Conservancy, and now in her role as the board chair at the National Trust for Historic Preservation, she's taken on Washington and the preservation of the White House as we know it. Today, we welcome Phoebe Tudor to the program. Phoebe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ernie. So nice to be here, and Celeste as well.
If you want to join in the conversation, give us a call or text 713-440-8870.
Now, Phoebe, I'm curious what first pulled you into preservation and why this has really become a passion of yours. Was there a specific moment or building that you just fell in love with?
I take it back to when I used to go on family vacations, and my parents would take us to Boston or Charleston or New York or London. And it was so interesting to me to see these cities that really had a long history and that had preserved their history. And the way that each city had its own personality, each city was different from the other cities. And I was always interested in art and architecture. And when I went to college, I majored in art history, but so much of it really was more architectural history. And then I just decided I wanted to get a degree in historic preservation, which I went to Columbia University and got my degree in historic preservation and have really been focused on that ever since. Wow.
Excuse this question, but it seems an odd choice that someone with that history and background would end up in a city like Houston, where so often we're thought of someone who pays no regard to the past and is always tearing down and building new. Interesting place for you to land.
Well, we came here for my husband's job, but my husband Bobby graduated from Rice University, which in itself is just a beautiful campus, and it's in a historic part of the city of Houston. And Houston, it has torn down a lot. I think it gets a bad rap. We do have 23 historic districts in Houston now. I served as the chairman of the Archaeological and Historical Commission a while back, and there's a great appreciation for history here. It's just that Houston is such a big city, and the vast majority of it is a newer city.
Does it give you, though, more opportunity in a city like this that maybe hasn't preserved its history in the past so well, that look at here, look what we have, and finding and pointing out to the general community today, these are important. This is significant.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's why it's important for people to stand up and speak out. And I've worked with Preservation Houston a lot. They're doing a great job of trying to promote Houston's history. And even things like the Garden Oaks Theater, which is an effort that's happening right now, and I'm helping them. It's the same group that I worked with on the River Oaks Theater restoration. And at first, both of these cases were somewhat close to demolition, especially Garden Oaks Theater is still very close to demolition. And it's these sort of grassroots groups of citizens who understand the value, who see what's going on, who choose to speak up and kind of put together a scrappy little group who lifts it up and makes it known to the public, which is what we're trying to do right now. Yeah. So there are lots of opportunities, and it takes a lot of people to be kind of on the lookout and say, look at this, it's in danger. We should restore this. We should fix this up and make it a community center, an arts and film center, or whatever it turns out to be.
And I think that's what I was curious if you've had to really kind of understand how to approach these types of buildings and the preservation work that you're doing versus perhaps other cities where there's a lot of momentum and support around preservation.
Well, you're right about that. Some cities are so known for their preservation, so it's not such a battle. Right. I think with Houston, you do have to kind of speak up, try to get the ear, particularly of elected officials, because that always helps. And we've had pretty good luck with elected officials. Once they really understand what's going on, once they see what's out there, and having their involvement can really make a huge difference in the projects.
Yeah. Just to take a little step back, and I want to get into some of the projects you're hands-on with right now or have been. Help people understand why, as obvious a question is, why it's important to preserve these moments in our history through the buildings and the surroundings.
Well, I often say that buildings are the soul of a city, and talking about the buildings that I went to, which really were so memorable to me because they conveyed their place, they conveyed their history. There's a big power in place. And without uniqueness of historic neighborhoods and historic buildings, every city in the country could look just alike, right. And there's a lot of that anyway. But buildings have a unique opportunity to hold collective memories for the community. And even if you may not have been there when it was first built and first used, it gives people a glimpse into what the city was all about. And it invigorates a city. I think without some sort of connection to the past, you could just be anywhere.
Yeah.
The restoration of Julia Idison Library was one of your earlier landmark projects. And I'm curious the challenges that you face, kind of preserving that, historical integrity and also having it as a modern use everyday building.
And before you even answer that, if people have not been in to see it, it is spectacular, and we're so lucky to have that gem preserved.
Right.
Thank you. It is a beautiful building downtown, just catty corner from City Hall. And I got involved with that project, back in about 2005. And Mayor Bill White called me, and he started talking up this idea of preserving the Julia Idison Library, and it was kind of like the movie. You had me at hello. I don't need to hear all the rest of it. Let's do it. And he helped put together a wonderful board. Initially, there was no budget. There was no money from anywhere coming for the Julia Idison Library. No city money, and it's a city property. And we started to go out and call on local foundations to help support the project and raise the money. And I remember the first one that we went to, and the gentleman we were speaking with said, well, how much is the city going to put up? And we said, well, we don't have any city money. And he said, you go back and tell Mayor White he's not going to get philanthropy until the city has some skin in the game, and it's a city building. And so that started the whole process rolling. And in the end, we got about 50% money from the city and 50% money from philanthropy. Wow. And the budget ended up being about $30 million.
Yeah.
And that's how it worked.
Does it get easier? Having been through what you've been through with previous buildings, does it make the next building easier, or is everyone a fresh starting from zero challenge?
Well, it seems like there's a lot of battles for saving old buildings, and I wish that it wasn't that way. I think having participated in numerous projects, there's sort of a roadmap. You're not starting from square one. You sort of know the best way to go about it. But it's always hard. Fundraising is always hard. And it sort of takes as long as it takes. And I've been involved with fundraising for lots of other organizations as well. And, it's a lift. It's a heavy lift. And as you get more experience, you know more people, and you've kind of talked to them about this and that before. But I would not say it's ever easy.
Talk to me about the unique challenges facing the Astrodome. Because anyone you talk to, everyone seems to love the Astrodome. But it's been such a challenge to just preserve it or figure out what to do with it. Why do we have that challenge with such a beloved building?
Well, that is an excellent question. I think partly because it's so big.
Yeah.
It's a large building, so anything that you're going to do with the Astrodome is going to require some substantial funding. The polls that we've had and polls that others have done about the Astrodome are always a large majority of people want to see it reused. So the public is very much behind repurposing the Astrodome. And it's tricky because it's tied up politically, and it's tied up also with the tenants who use NRG Park. And sort of what their wants and desires are. So trying to get the right political leadership in place, to couple it with the public support, and to work hand in hand with the tenants. I think those three things are what make it difficult.
Will we see it all come together, do you think? Is there hope down the line, or do so many different interests have different interests that it's very hard to find a plan everyone can agree on?
I am eternally optimistic, and I do believe that we're going to be able to find a use and find a way to preserve the Astrodome. And I think partially, we're just going to need some different leadership in place, but we have some elections coming up this fall, and we'll see how that turns out. But the Astrodome Conservancy is working very hard. We have been for the last 10 years. We've raised a lot of private money, and we've invested it in designs and studies. We have a large economic impact study, 140 pages worth, that explain how it could be done, how it could be financed. We have a capital stack that we're working on to show how you can put together the funding for the Astrodome. And in fact, May 27th, our next event is a market day. So we're inviting people who are interested in the Astrodome, potential investors, developers, partners, even tenants who would like to be in the Astrodome, to participate in Market Day. It's going to be live that morning from the EyeCan, and there's also online capability. So if anyone is interested in that, you can go on the website, astrodomeconservancy.org, and you can register. And we're doing this at the request of the county commissioners. We went to the commissioners' court in January, and they asked us to bring the private developers to them. So that's what we're trying to do. And we feel like once we take this step, when we get some new leadership at the county, we'll be ready to move forward.
We are speaking with preservationist extraordinaire, Miss Phoebe Tudor. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
I guess just a human interest question for you. Are those days when you wake up and you say, I'm tired of fighting this project. If people aren't jumping on board, fine, I'm done. And if so, what gets you back on that wagon?
Well, of course, yes. Everybody has those days. As I said, I'm an eternal optimist, and I'm also extremely persistent. I don't give up easily. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of listening to Nora O'Donnell, the wonderful broadcaster, at a luncheon, and she said, persistence is the vast majority of success. And she talked about, we hear it with famous authors all the time. I submitted my books to so many editors and nobody ever, published it until finally there was that one. And with her, she won an Emmy Award for interviewing the Pope. She said she was after the Pope and wrote to him for 10 years before she was able to get an interview with the Pope. And, I took great comfort in that.
Yes.
Good things are worth waiting for. And if it's easy, it would have already been done. So, we are trying to provide leadership in this area and show people what the opportunities are. And also just to talk about, if it didn't get saved, what would that be like for our city? Yeah. What would that be like for our county? What a colossal failure that would be in the eyes of everyone, that Houston can't get creative enough, and with all of the wealth that we have in this city, that we can't come up with a way to put together a project that'll revitalize the Astrodome.
And to that point, when you mentioned Nora O'Donnell and her saying that she reached out to the Pope for 10 years, we just see the interview. We don't see all of the work that went into it. And oftentimes when we drive around our city, we see the beautiful building, not even realizing that there are groups of people, such as yourself, that are advocating for these buildings to be saved and to be a part of our identity, the fabric of our community.
Yes, that's so true. And there's so many stories like that we don't know.
Okay, I'm going to take you to a different point now. With your work at the National Trust for Historic Preservation, when did you first know or see that the East Wing was coming down and at the White House, and your reaction, and can you be productive in accomplishing something once something has been demolished? We lost the East Wing. What do you do now?
Well, we had heard last fall that there were some conversations going on about remodeling the East Wing. We were assured that it was not going to be demolished. And so with that assurance, we were hoping to be able to participate in some way in crafting the design. And as we all know, then the East Wing was demolished practically over a weekend, which surprised us and surprised everyone. So what we would like to be able to do is to have some influence in what is built in its place. And the National Trust has already had some influence. There have been some design changes based on the input that we have given. So we feel that we've had a moderate success in that. It's a difficult one.
Well, let me set the table better for people to understand. For folks that get confused, why would you be involved with the White House? What is the White House to us? Who has ownership of the house? What is the residents' part in their participation in the home? Explain that for people to understand what the White House is to us.
Well, the White House is, I would say, the most famous structure in the country, and certainly represents our nation, the history of the nation. And it is owned by the people of the United States. So it's a public, the whole complex is a public facility, and it's always been that way. So the people are the ones who own the White House, not necessarily any administration when they are there. The White House grounds itself are a park. It's a national park. So talk about embodying history and being a visual symbol of the history of our country. Certainly the White House is that. If anything, that's the best example. And the National Trust for Historic Preservation was founded to protect and preserve important places in our country. And so that's where the involvement comes in with the National Trust and the most famous building in the United States.
And for people to understand, in the past, when renovations have happened at the White House or changes or alterations, what is the process that usually happens?
Well, the process itself, and that's the thing that we're most focused on really, has to do with the legal mandated steps that one should take involving two committees in Washington, D.C. One is the Commission of Fine Arts, and one is called the D.C. Planning Commission, who review any changes, review really anything to be done with the White House. And then they need congressional approval. And so that's kind of the gist of
what's at issue here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, 713-440-8870. We do have quite a few calls coming in. We're going to try to get those in. Questions for you, Phoebe. You'll need to put your headphones on. Let's go to Kelly from College Station. Kelly, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Miss Phoebe?
Hey, Miss Dee. I appreciate all the work that she's doing, and I do kind of feel like the Astrodome for my generation is the White House of Houston, for my generation anyway. Mm-hmm. And I love that they're trying to preserve it. I do think that it's better to rehab something than have to build something new. But just to get the finances straight, is this committee that Phoebe works on, is it a volunteer group, or are we paying for their salary for the last decade to try and come up for a resolution for this one building? And if so, what have they spent out of our tax dollars to try and come up with a plan to do something, and it's now 10 years down the road and we've got nothing going on?
Okay, thank you. I like you calling the Astrodome the White House of Houston. That's a good tagline. Our organization, the Astrodome Conservancy, is a nonprofit organization made up of mostly volunteers. And we have one staff person, and her salary is paid by the philanthropy that the Astrodome Conservancy raises. So no government money has gone into anything that we have done. We work with the county. We have a memorandum of understanding with the county. We feel like we're doing a lot of pre-development or due diligence work on behalf of the county at our own expense. That will be helpful to the county in moving forward. But we don't use any tax dollars. No.
Thank you for calling and sharing that. Quickly, before we run out of time, a thing that we are both passionate about is the Luther Hotel. What's happening down in Palacios?
Well, thank you, Ernie. It was so nice for you to get involved with the Luther Hotel, and this was one of many projects that I hear about that I don't seem to be able to say no to. And it's a Texas antiquities landmark, and it was the oldest continuously operating hotel along the Texas Gulf Coast. And at one point, it had a giant porch that stretched from one end to another. It was in grave danger of demolition. There was a scrappy local group of citizens who did not want to see it torn down. They started talking. They formed a nonprofit. They got the word out. Somehow or other, it got to me. Someone called me. It's like a game of telephone sometime. And luckily, we were able to get rid of the demolition threat, and we were able to find a wonderful developer, J.P. Bryan, who is one of the state's preeminent historians and a preservationist, to buy the building and renovate it. So you were kind enough to come down and do a little panel discussion with us down there. It was really fun, and I think that is just one of a wonderful preservation success story.
We want to have you back, talk about more of the stuff you're working on and more we should be paying attention to. Phoebe, thank you so much.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to have our last minute plans. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
To elicit evidence in criminal cases, but these days that's categorized as so-called junk science. Texas passed a law years ago meant to give those convicted under such circumstances the chance to appeal, but that's no longer happening. I'm Laura Rice. We'll dig into that story and more on the next Texas Standard.
You can hear Texas Standards on Monday at 10 a.m.
On the next Planet Money, online prediction markets feel a lot like gambling, but those companies claim that legally it is not gambling.
Speculation is not equal to gambling, because if speculation is equal to gambling, then our entire financial market is gambling.
And on How I Built This, two early founders get business advice from host Guy Raz and Eric Ryan, co-founder of Method. That's on the next Planet Money and How I Built This from NPR.
You can hear it tomorrow morning. It starts at 9 a.m.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from St. Arnold Brewing Company, a place for corporate events on tap, meeting rooms, AV equipment, and full catering available. More at starnold.com.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, Great Performances presents a new season of Now Hear This. Violinist and conductor Scott Yu returns to host the critically acclaimed miniseries. Tonight at 8:30 on TV8.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste, Díaz, Schurman, and Ernie Manouse.
I'm monitoring what's coming in our chat today, and my favorite chat question so far is, wait, is Celeste leaving? I want to know what hole you've been in that you haven't heard. Celeste is going on to, I don't know if I'd call them greener pastures, but she's leaving this horse ranch. I don't know. I can't find a good analogy for it. And you're moving on.
I am. Like I said, it's not goodbye. It's just a new chapter. So many of us go through these transitions in life, and I'm just so grateful that I get to share it with each one of you. And the support and love and the outpouring has just been wonderful. So it's an exciting time, and I'm going to absolutely miss Houston, but I'll be in Bakersfield, California.
And the reason you're going to be in Bakersfield, California, is sitting across from me right now at the table. It is Dan Schurman. Hello there, sir.
Hello, Ernie. Hello, Celeste. How
You're
are y'all?
Taking her away from me.
Unfortunately, I am. I'm sorry about that.
I tried to get her to leave you. Did you hear that? I was telling her each day.
We thought about it. She thought long and hard about staying and shipping me off with the kids.
Yeah.
But we decided we wanted to be together.
All right.
And that's a hard decision to make, right? Every family has those forks in the road. And we made that decision, and it can be a hard one. But
that was your fork to bear. But you know what? Folks from all over the Houston area are sad to see you go, or want to wish you good luck, or a myriad of things. And we've got some videos. You want to take a look at a video?
Yeah, let's watch a video.
This is from an elementary school. You may know these people. Let's take a look and see.
Your Briar Grove family just wants to say ciao. Auf Wiedersehen. Peace. Hasta la vista. Bye. Celeste, we are going to miss you. You have been a staple in our school ever since we set foot here. We thank you so much for your dedication and service to our students. We're going to miss you and your babies. Just know that you always have a home here at Briar Grove. And remember, everything is bigger in Texas. So whenever you're ready to come back, we're ready to have you. Best wishes in California. Godspeed. Go be great. And we look forward to seeing you do great things. Bye.
And those from Briar Grove are who?
That was our Principal Jones, and our administrators, Miss Yolland and Miss Johnson, Miss Sampay. I, like so many other parents, when my daughter was getting ready to go to school, we wanted to send her to our local neighborhood school. And I truly believe in public education. And so we sent our daughter there, and everybody was like, oh, if you send your child to HISD, you got to get really involved. And, well, I ended up being the PTO president.
she took that seriously.
I took it very
As she does with
seriously.
everything getting involved.
And we spent a lot of time there, and I spent a lot of, I put a lot of effort into making sure that I could serve the school well and the parents well. And one thing that I realized is that I really didn't want to be the PTO president, if I'm being completely honest with you, but it was an opportunity for me to step into a role, and I learned so much from it. And Dan was, I would say, almost like my vice president.
I was her executive assistant.
Yes, I'm sure.
All the work, none of the credit.
Are those the folks that got you into all the gardening? Is that where
Yes,
you're doing your
and
gardening?
they have the gardening. But if you could take thing away from that, it's get involved with your child's school. Even if you can just give one day to the school, I highly recommend it.
Somebody else who feels you've made an impact in their world and wants to impact yours, how about your pastor?
Oh.
Celeste Díaz Schurman, I can't say enough about who you are and what you mean both to Ecclesia and to the city of Houston. Your voice is authentic. You tell the truth. You raise your kids and you love your husband in a way that's beautiful and kind, and you're kind and present with everybody that you talk to. And that comes through when you're on the air. That's why people love you. That's why I tune in if I'm in the car or whenever I have an opportunity, because I want to hear your exchange of ideas with people that matter in our city. We know that Dan, your husband, is amazing, and he's got an opportunity that's pretty remarkable, and that's going to take you away from Houston. We hope for just a little while. We hope to have you back. You mean the world to us. You have blessed us, and we can't say enough in return. So thank you for all you do. God bless you. At Ecclesia, we love you.
Yeah, that's special. And if you noticed, I mean, Dan and I would talk about this. I mean, we've seen the school, the church. Dan, thoughts?
It's going to be hard to leave Houston.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have seen all the pleasure. I've had all the pleasure and pain of seeing this show get built up over
Pleasure
the last,
and pain. Keyword pain.
Really, 18 months, right? It's been on the air for about a year, but it's been about 18 months of work from y'all two and the whole team here. So I think it's hard for us, both of us, to see this for Celeste transition out, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a hard thing. But the community is amazing here. You guys have been amazing to her. This show is a gem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what y'all have done with this. Like, I consume media, whether it's digital, commercial, public radio. This show should be on TV.
Wait, I'm leaving. Don't say that.
You know, I agree.
No, that's how it works. That's how it works,
like,
right? All the
Tell me more.
all the things you want will happen after you leave. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Right? And no, it's y'all do it right. Right, y'all balance everything so well. And
and we're getting some YouTube
Somebody
comments.
we know, though, I'm going to interrupt you there because it's a perfect setup. Somebody we know who did it right. We're Celeste's parents. And I think we've got one more video for you
Oh my
today.
gosh, my parents. Okay.
My daughter's very high energy type person. She's also driven and very dedicated to her profession. You know, she's got a coffee mug that says, "I'm going to use my voice today." And I've told her, well, if you have this gift and, use it. Use it to help make this world a better place. And I think she's on that track. The first time Celeste called and said that she had gotten the position co-host of Hello Houston, we were very pleasantly surprised, but at the same time, we knew she had been working hard for many years to get this opportunity. So I look at it from the point of view of hard work. When hard work meets opportunity, you have success. And Celeste has worked very hard throughout her life to achieve her dream. I'm a firm believer that everyone is born with special gifts and talents. And Celeste, at a very young age, was a chatterbox. And teachers would tell my wife, Lydia, her mother, that, she was a very good student, but she loved to talk. Chatterbox.
Yes.
And as time went on, we also noticed that she had a great memory. She was able to recall places, events, and then she would tell us a story.
As young as 4 or 5 years old, she could tell you a story that happened when she was 2 years old.
So we noticed that she had a
memorize
gift.
everything, every detail. Yeah, and she would fall asleep talking, She loves to talk. Loves to talk.
Talk about.
That was my parents.
Fall asleep talk. I do have to say, watching that video and looking at them in their advanced age, I think, oh my God, that could have been you and me years down the road, just sitting on that couch talking as we welcomed our twilight years. Oh, that was so sweet of your parents.
That was very sweet of my parents. My parents are very soft spoken, and so I'm the third child, and so I just would be the one that would fall out of my seat to make people laugh, and yeah.
Things haven't changed too much,
No,
to be honest
no.
with you. She still brings that chatterbox joy to our family.
So it's going to be hard to see you leave that chair.
Yeah, but it's going to be great because you know what?
You finally get away from me.
No, it's going to be great because Hello Houston's going to continue. We're going to find some more awesome voices that are going to be uplifted and the stories are going to continue. I'm looking forward to being in California, and there are some very important stories to be told and voices to be uplifted. And before I wrap up, I just want to say it has been an absolute honor to sit here with you every day from 11 to 1 and to be part of this city in a very meaningful way. Thank you for trusting me and sharing with your stories with me. It has been an incredible experience that I'm going to carry forward. And again, this isn't goodbye. It's just a new chapter. And you know what? We've run out of time.
That happens. And I have to say, what a joy and an honor to sit next to you for this last year. We've known each other around the newsroom for a while, but to get to do this journey together, thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our week here at Hello Houston. I want to thank you for watching and joining us and listening. Ernie will be back on Monday with more conversations. In the meantime, you can catch the best of Hello Houston Saturdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. right here on News 88.7. Have a great weekend, Houston. I'll love you forever.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility and